All right. So, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm just so honored and blessed once again to be speaking with one of my favorite people, Amara Samata. So, Amara, if you don't know her already, is the founder of the Inner Guidance System for Transformation. She lives in Bali and she's so awesome. So, welcome, Amara.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's yeah, always wonderful to speak to you. So glad I'm here.
Yay. It's been a year since we spoke, since we did, well, since we, yeah, spoke, I think, and since we did the interview. I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
I don't know if we haven't really spoke since. So it has been a very wild year. Um,
that's safe to say. Yeah, that's safe to say.
and so I was just curious, what your thoughts are on 2020 and what's been going on.
Yeah, I guess I would say that it's a natural byproduct. This year is really kind of the results of a non-sustainable, the ways that we're living unsustainably. This is the toppling is now beginning to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is really the breakdown that is inevitable when things are not sustainable. And we're seeing that on a pretty catastrophic, at least from a human perspective, level, in terms of everything. All systems are falling down. So, my thoughts on it are that humans by and large tend to be very kind of short-term sighted, and it's not like we didn't know. It's not like we didn't know. We were kind of junking the landscape. It's not
Right.
like we didn't know that we weren't really like, okay, we have these lives, and maybe if we're blessed, we get to go to school, and then we come out, and then we realize like we don't know anything, and we have to play catch up and try to figure out like, how does this work. Like, it's not really adding up, right? Like we got that, we kept trying to make it add up, and get it into a good place, but it was never really ever in like a place that made just good solid sense. I think being human, I think that's always been a little like,
Right.
not really quite, we haven't really quite landed it.
Maybe we thought we had it a little bit, but underneath, like we weren't looking under the hood of the car or something, like.
Yeah, like we thought we were doing cool, but like, and also when others aren't doing cool and we are, that takes a lot of justification in our minds, which takes a lot of energy to say, well, I'm okay, but they're not. But is
Mm-hmm.
too bad, so sad, whatever, not my problem. Like that's not a sustainable mindset.
Right.
And now we're seeing it, kind of everywhere. So I
Right.
think this year is fortunately or unfortunately,
Mm.
the inevitable unfolding of a unsustainable collective system. Here
Mm.
we are. And one thing I know about breakdowns, which are kind of my specialty at the moment, especially, is that there's a golden opportunity for breakthrough. And in fact, that's what they're pointing to. There's also a trap to continue falling down into the breakdown until we hit what we tend to call too late. It feels like it's too late. It's never really true,
Yeah.
but it certainly can feel like it or seem like it.
Yeah.
For
Right.
sure. So this is breakthrough time. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Because some people feel like it's the end of the world right now, like.
Well, it's certainly the end of some kind of world.
Yeah. Right.
And if we could take our sort of collective might and put it towards, instead of every man for himself against each other, and put it towards I wrote kind of a collective inspired mission of well-being, like we'd get there. Like, we'd figure it out. But we have to want it. We have to really want that. So now it's really like inventory time. What do we want as a species, as humans, and as individuals, and what is that dance going to look like? Like, I saw back, a long time ago, I think it was in 2004 is when I really saw like, wow, humans are really dragging their feet and this isn't going to go well. It's kind of like you use the car analogy, you're driving your car and you're like, I'll just push it a little bit more, a little bit more. I need to get it fixed, but I'm just going to push it. It's okay. And then you break down on the freeway. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I waited, now you have a new interesting, uh, really a problem, but you've got a puzzle there on that freeway. You got to figure some stuff out.
Right. Right.
And if we help each other
in this place.
yeah, we could help each other and it could all go a lot easier, for sure.
Right. Right. And that's part of, unifying, right? That's the new world that you're speaking of.
Yes, how do we unify, and maintain our unique individuality? This is this paradox. How do we blend this? This is really where our genius should be focused, and I'll use the word should. I'll say the positive should, like we should be doing that. if we want to, if we want to maintain an experience, or go for a harmonious collective human experience, for sure. That really should be what we're doing right now, in the healthiest way possible. And some people are. I mean, some people are asking, how do we unify? How do we come together? How do we clean things up? How do we make it better? What does better mean?
Yeah.
What do you? Because my version of better may not be your version of better.
Yeah. And how does that coexist, or can it?
Right. And this means we need to have conversations that involve real negotiation versus manipulation. And as you can see, conversations are actually being limited at the time when we need them the most.
Of course.
Of course. So this is so it's just more old system trying to, like hang on to the bitter end,
Right.
My way, or the highway, no way at all. And that's just hanging on for dear life.
Control, right?
You can't talk about things like that. Sit down and shut up. That it's like that's not sustainable.
You have to listen to me.
Yeah, authority. False authority, and that's it's the good news is that's not sustainable either. It's just not, because we are evolutionary beings, and trying to control and manipulate now, and I'll use that in the we'll put that in the say not harmonious, not holistically beneficial camp. Versus listen, speak, real negotiation, real results. If we're not doing that, we're doing the other. It won't last, because evolution says it's not going to work for me. I call that arguing with the ocean.
Totally.
Stay back, ocean. I don't want your wave right now. I want whatever I want. Ocean.
Slap you in the face, even though you're part of me.
Yeah, and so we have these people or parts of ourselves that kind of band together under some good cause and decide, we are going to be the ocean. I'm going to tell, I'm going to come through. But the truth always wins. The real version of that always comes through. That's the nature of real and true. It just is. And the nature of false and unsustainable and not enough and not holding true and not really solid falls away. That's its nature.
Wow.
So we all have to, as individuals, as couples, as families, as communities, as teams, as companies, countries, and as a species, we all have to address that. Or suffer heaps in the process.
Totally. So as we face these chaotic times, some of the most chaotic times that we've ever lived through as a collective, I know there's a lot of people who could use, support, all the support they can get. And so I'm wondering if there's anything that you can share with us at this time that you think would be helpful.
Sure. So for support, it really starts in here. It's in here, in the heart, in your own experience of you. Mm. And when let's think of it like a foundation, and we're seeing. So what we just talked about is kind of the house of cards. What is not sustainable, you could just blow on it and it's going to fall apart. But there's something that is solid. Mm. It's real. We could call it. It's true. It's sustainable. It's conscious. Has an awareness, and that gives it, the feedback never lies. So the feedback of that would be support. Mm. You get your support from embodying what's really true. And I have found in working, with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, that sort of the lie that we tell ourselves in our system, it's the same all the time. And I think we kind of know it now, but we don't get it. Like, we know it, but we don't get it. And the lie is that I'm not enough. It's the story of lack. It's the lack story. Right. Now, you got to stay with me here, because, the mind goes, but there are times when I don't have and I'm not. And that's true. Mm. But what you are enough, what is enough, is your ability to resource within you and around you. Mm. Your ability, as long as, you have a heartbeat, and even after we could argue, but let's just say, like, in this lifetime, as long as you have eyes to see and, or ways to interpret data, information, mm-hmm. seeing, speaking, hearing, smelling, touching, intuiting, as long as you understand that you are enough to be present and to let that presence and the clarity of that presence start to guide you, that's the support you need. Mm. And when that real enoughness, enough to what? Enough to figure things out. Mm. You're enough to learn, you're enough to grow, you're enough to rest, you're enough to love and to be the love that you are, that kind of enoughness. From there, anything's possible. Mm. Right? But when that is overlaid with a concept that feels real through your belief, either consciously or unconsciously, you think, I'm not enough to be resourceful, to find a way. When you lose that and you believe that light or that spark or that truth is not there, that's the ultimate bad time. That's when, when you're believing the lie.
Yeah. Like it's there's nothing else.
Yeah, that's the big fail, in the true sense of, fail. Because, the sad thing is that it's not true. It can seem like it is, and you can even build up evidence that it is, but it's not ultimately true that you're not enough. You could, if you didn't have such beliefs, you could absolutely see the next right, or maybe right, well, we won't use the word right, but the next best according to your deepest truth that you're uncovering. Mm-hmm. The next step and the next step and the next step. And you can sort of dig your way out. We could all dig our way out of, kind of come to the surface. What have we done? And become resourceful together. But we have to understand that we're enough. We are good enough to take another look at things, ourselves, to learn, to grow, to forgive, to apologize, to be grateful, to show up. That's what we need. You know, what we need that support to start to rise within us, and then match it up with all kinds of beautiful support
Right.
out there in the world.
Why do you think people don't feel good enough? How did we get here?
Yeah. So I give a whole lecture on that. I call it now the empowerment principle. So there's a reason we're not empowered, and when I say empowered, I mean resourceful. The ability to source
Mm-hmm.
what you truly are, like to really tap on the source that created you, that's within you, and that's all around you. That's power. That's power. Okay. So how we got there? Simple. There's four. I'll make it as quick as I can. There are. Okay, everybody out there listening, here we go. There are four things you need to be empowered. There's four keys. It starts when you come into this world. So imagine that there's a diamond shape. Okay, and at the top of the diamond, we're going to put the word hi. So the first thing you need is acknowledgement. When you're a baby, just because you're born, just because you exist, you need absolute unconditional acknowledgement that you're like a miracle.
Mm.
That's it. Hi, baby. That's what we do when we go, right? And that is that even though you pee and poo and yell and scream or whatever, you're amazing. We love you. That's the foundational first truth. That if it's not imprinted in you and on you, it's already true, but if it's not fed back to you, if you don't get that feedback mechanism working, and it's also working both ways, things start to skew. And then the mind starts to overcompensate. Oh, well, if I'm not a miracle, then what am I? Oh, 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 oh. And we start to build layers of justification. Either that we're more than we are, or we're less than we are, or others are more than they are or less than they are, and we start to grandize and demonize. And these are concepts that are very dangerous. They hurt us and they hurt others. On the diamond, the second thing that we need in the four keys for resourcefulness empowerment, imagine the word no. So now that we're amazing, we're a miracle, we're going to go and start living our lives, and we need brakes. We need the brake. It's like we get in the car, the first thing you need to learn about is the brake. No. So we have to have a healthy, aligned experience of boundaries. We need to, and children, they do this. You get a toddler. I've said this thousands of times. You get a toddler and they're 2 years old, and they start to get verbal. They've been doing it pre-verbal. But when they're verbal, it really comes out. The first thing they say is no. Right? And they are trying to embody the break because they're going to need that for the rest of their life. What is a real no? And I can't tell you how many times people have the epiphany over and over in the inner guidance work. I never learned what a real no was. And so one, I don't know how to set a boundary, and two, I don't know how to receive one.
Yeah.
And so everybody's afraid of rejection. Why are we afraid of rejection? Rejection is awesome. Rejection means somebody, if you're in an authentic world, rejection would mean, oh, we're not aligned right now. Right. I'm gonna learn something. Tell me more. Super interested. Where did I overstep my boundaries? Help me grow. And a rejection in one side means something that on the approval side is going to open up somewhere else. I just got closer to where I really need to be.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for rejecting me. Couldn't get any, like, how can this get better?
Yeah.
You know, or you sit down and find out, is it really true? Did you really need to reject me? Is there something else I can do? Is there a way to turn it around? And then the growth starts happening, right? So until we can lean into rejection as a positive, it's like saying brakes on a car are bad. So don't drive off the road. Good luck. It's just, it's not going to go well for you,
No,
right?
you're gonna crash.
You're going to crash.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, no, you got to learn what true, you've heard of true north, you got to learn your true no. And that's a discernment that arises. We'll get to that. So then on the diamond, the next thing on the other side, we'll put yes, and that's the gas.
Mm.
And as we're growing as children, the yes comes out, being able to accept, being able to say, I want, and discover what's a need, what's a want, what's a desire. And yes, yes, I want to have it in my life. Children all are saying, I want it, I want it, I want it, but mommy, I want it. Want. It's just gas,
Yeah. All over.
So we need to feel a true relationship to yes and find out, ooh, yeah, that wasn't really true. When I said I wanted the whole chocolate cake, turns out I need to have that experience. That's not good for me.
Mm.
Turns out what I really want is a small piece and share it with my friends. That something like that. Okay, that feels a lot better to me. Now I know what to say yes to. Okay, I'm good. Now I can learn moderation, and I can learn giving, and I can learn, you know, receiving and giving, and all those things start to apply.
Yeah.
But it has to be physiologically attached to our nervous system, our emotional system, our mental capacity, and even our energetic field. And these begin skewed when parents, out of frustration, say, no, you can't have it. Why? Because I told you so. Oh, so my inner integrity just went to your outer authority.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean?
Yeah.
Wow. And then it becomes skewed. All kinds of skewed things happen, right?
Yeah.
And the last point on the diamond, high, no, yes, at the bottom, is why. It's that curiosity that gets us in the car in the first place to go driving into unknown territory. So you need a healthy relationship to acknowledgement and appreciation, to rejection, to acceptance, and to curiosity.
Mm.
You need to be able to go, I'm so curious, tell me more. I'm starting to wonder, as opposed to getting offended, getting defensive. You lean in instead. Oh, you think I'm a jerk? Tell me more. What do you mean by jerk? I'd love to know what that means to you. I'm curious, what's the alignment or the misalignment here? And then we can get into some, juicy, healthy conversations that aren't available if we're full of all these short-term protective justifications that then become our identity,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah.
So
And
then
that's
we're,
so offended because they have that identity with, they're taking it very personally when really the person just trying to communicate something that, well, I'm not totally sure what I'm trying to say, but
yeah. It's when somebody, by the time somebody's using a label,
yeah.
they've lost their resourcefulness. By the time you're calling somebody I'll use a kind word, like jerk,
Yeah.
you've lost your resourcefulness, because
Yeah.
that's the place card holder for everything that we can no longer identify, quantify what it even is, let alone work with it to find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, those people are just a bunch of idiots. What does that mean? It means I have no idea how to empathize with them, understand them.
Yeah.
And in that understanding, if you could do the work, what do you realize? Oh, we share a core limited belief. That's why they trigger me,
Mm-hmm.
because they address that same insecurity in an opposite way than I would. That's usually what's happening.
Wow.
So if you look at
Mirror.
two
Okay.
fighting sides, the core wounding is insecurity, not enough. I think I'm not enough because I didn't get my, diamond empowerment parenting principle optimized. And so I'm all jacked up. And now I think I'm not enough. And and about everyone else in the world too. And here's how I deal with it, and here's how they deal with it.
Mm.
And I'm scared of how they deal with it, and I'm scared of how they deal with it.
Yeah.
That's what's going down.
Right.
Yeah. So we need to come together and go, oh, okay. First, work on that core insecurity, and to really see it's sure there's a natural hesitancy or insecurity around something you're not good at the first time, just out of to make sure you don't like drive, learning to drive a bike, there's a little insecurity that's natural. That's the healthy kind, so you adjust, get little training wheels, um, but there's ways to learn how to take yourself out of that from a core of I'm enough to face that insecurity. I'm enough to meet that challenge. And we're enough to meet that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And once we start thinking like that, working like that, then, actually we can take what both sides learned. Both have something that they learned, from the extreme left or the extreme right,
Yeah.
extreme up, extreme down. Everybody learned something. Extremes are, teach a lot of big lessons in very hardcore ways. So we could come together. Like, here's what I learned was great. Here's what you definitely don't want to do. Here's what we learned was really helpful. Here's what you definitely don't want to do. Okay. And we could really start like putting together something really amazing. But the personal work of it, is to start to reparent yourself.
Right.
And to look at all those complicated justifications, assumptions, projections that you've created that now you actually conceptually and maybe even emotionally or physiologically think are real.
Mm.
And they're not. Not really. I mean, they're real strategies,
Yeah.
but they're not really what you are. Make sense?
Yeah. It does. It does.
Yeah. So we got to get empowered. People have to get like tuned back in. What's a real no for me? You got to figure that out. What's a real yes and why? What do I acknowledge in myself and others, and what am I curious about? That's the spark. That's the place to start.
That's some good stuff. That's foundational
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, we need foundation big time right now.
Right. Right. That's what we're talking
Before we get all fancy, we got way too fancy pants without this foundation. So now it's crumbling.
Yeah. So if each person does this for themselves, that can change the world. I mean, just the parent or diamond that you spoke of, just that work each person doing can
Yep.
be huge.
It's massive. That is exactly how you change the world, from that principle moving outward, because that means you have new eyes, new ears, new voice, new heart to see from. You are not overlaid with this faults, but there's some work to be done there. So that's the work I take people through as quickly and as painlessly as we can make it. It's challenging for sure, because you're really ripping away what you thought was your true skin, only to find out you're something else underneath.
Yeah, it's quite it can be messy, but
It can be messy, but I like cleaning out a closet. You make a big mess first, and then you put it all back, and then it's you're so glad you did it.
Yeah, right.
Because you're empowered. Now you're empowered, right?
Yeah, right. No,
Yes.
particularly the closet's all perfect and clean when it's really not. You're actually
Yeah.
and cleaning it out.
Yeah, and then that brings people to like, how will I know if I'm still fooling myself, or if this is the real me?
Yeah.
You have to learn how to interpret the feedback. You have to learn to trust again.
Yeah, and not just
learn to
people
trust.
off, and run away and go back and be separate again. Yeah, like you have to learn to communicate and go through what you're just talking about. Yeah, face it.
Face it.
Yeah.
Face it. Yeah.
So I know a lot of people, are going through challenges right now, and so I'm wondering if you have a story about something that brought you to your knees in your life, like a true challenge in your life, and how that might have ended up making you stronger.
Okay, fine. Yeah, there's Well, I'll go way back to this one because this was actually a knee dropping moment, and I think it's a maybe it will have something in it because it has to do with, you know, those times where we overdo it and we burn out. Um, so I was in New York City and I was going to college, and I was mostly supporting myself in that process. So I was working a job in the morning before school, a job at lunchtime, and a job after class, and then doing my studies in the evening, and, you know, sleeping on like 4 to 6 hours of sleep, and just, you know, trying to like keep all the plates in the air and make it happen. And yeah, it was just a massive struggle. But, you know, I was determined to, you know, be that girl. I had several colleges who offered me things, but I wanted to go to this college, you know. So I was really like pushing myself to be, you know, to have the best. And so it just became too much. I had too much on my plate. I didn't know how to ask for help. I wasn't being resourceful. I thought you know, I can do it all by myself. And it was coming from this lack of, you know, I'm not enough unless I, you know, go to an Ivy League college or something. And so I wasn't really being, we could say, as resourceful, or I thought I was being so resourceful, right?
Yeah.
By being able to do all of this. But again, this is the feedback was you're breaking down, right? So I'm in New York City, and I'm walking on the sidewalk, and I'm supposed to be getting ready to go to my, you know, my night job, and I just finish my class, and I pass by an ice cream shop, and I suddenly have this memory of myself as a kid and how I loved a butter pecan ice cream.
Oh.
You know butter pecan ice cream? Like,
I like all ice cream.
so this was one of my favorites, and it was one of those, you know, flavor, you know, I don't know, 31 flavors or something, and it just hit me, this memory of having my favorite ice cream when I was a little girl, and, you know, not a care in the world, you know, because the parents were doing all the heavy lifting, you know, on the care. And just this memory of this carefree time in my life. When I didn't have to be or do or prove anything to anyone. I just could be myself when I was eating my ice cream. And I literally fell down on the sidewalk in New York City in the middle of the day and began to just bawl my eyes out.
Oh,
in front of this ice cream shop. And, you know, in New York City, it's kind of like, oh, and then they just step over you.
They don't.
You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say they don't really.
No, but nobody's got time. Nope, ain't nobody got time for that, right? So people just were walking around me, and very quickly I realized nobody cares about me. So I might as well just sit here and cry as long as I want. Like, I just get it all. Like, who cares? So I literally just sat there for like, I don't know, like 7 minutes, just like crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And then in that moment, here's where the real change happens, is I decided. It's this decisive moment that becomes a defining moment in your life. And I decided that if success requires me to work myself to the bone to where I am falling apart, that is not success. Period.
Right.
And I got up, and I was too embarrassed to go get the ice cream because I think the shop person was like, why is she crying outside in front of my shop? So I was like, okay.
No loitering out.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Go away. So I was like, I didn't want to come in and be like, can I have a butter pecan ice cream, please? So I just sort of like picked myself up.
Story.
Yeah, and I went back home, cried some more, and decided to find another way to support myself. My education, you know, my ambition, all, you know, taking ownership of the things that I wanted in a healthier way. So I got some support. Um, and I backed off from some of my work, and and I went and I found a way to grow, and then your life unfolds, and after that. But from that moment, I've always made a promise myself to not burn out, quote unquote, and not push myself in the name of success in a way that breaks me down, which is not success. I mean, that just makes no sense to me. So I have zero tolerance for anything that stresses me. And as soon as I feel stress, which now is really quite rare, but 2020, did push me. And I felt some stress. I was like, oh, this is what people are going through. Oh, no, this isn't good. And so in 2020, it was, and, I knew it was coming, but it stuck up on me. I thought I had about another 1 to 3 years, honestly. And then I had, and so all my programs, my trainings, my certification programs, my tour, my retreats, which were all just really thriving, like it, they were just gone, like canceled. That whole year was canceled. And this was at a time when I was really, seeking to uh, build something and build the center and grow things up. And it was a break things down moment. Yeah.
Didn't see it coming.
So this, didn't really see that coming. I knew something was coming, but I didn't know it was this year. So, I mean, I was already on the track of, okay, let's get a real foundation happening here. But the real foundation isn't here. The real foundation isn't the center and the land and the garden and and yeah, all those things. Yeah. It's really in here. So
right.
I took a time to, my son saw me. I spent one evening where I was pacing around the house. I was walking around, when you're pacing and you're like, okay. And I was walking and walking and walking, boom, boom, boom. And Ruby's like, what are you doing? My son, I'm pacing, and I'm feeling, what's the truth? What is it? And I made a decision to get really resourceful. And I said to the universe, okay, what can I do to be the most valuable and receive the most value back? What's the highest exchange that I can deliver successfully at the top of my genius with the most reward back right now? And how fast?
That's a great
it's a great question. And like that, I went straight into my coaching at just like a whole new level. Yeah, and we're almost filled up right now.
So awesome. And
yes.
I think we might have talked about in our last interview, but it seems like you just kind of put the question out these days, and it just kind of comes to you because you kind of clear. It's like you clear your field to allow things to come easier. Some people might have a harder time manifesting something just by asking the question, then bam, here it is.
Yep, it's true. One of my friends said, Amara, all you have to do is walk out of your house, if that.
And then here it is, my new reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I need da-da-da. Because I've worked a lot of time to do the inner rehabilitation. As make no mistake, as wonderful as my parents were, and I did get a healthy dose of the diamond. I would say I got 50% of it was great, and 50% of it was certainly not at all optimal. So I had really kind of had a lot of both. So I did the work to know, and it's this deep core trust. That's where the manifestation comes from.
Yeah.
That no matter what, I'm enough. And here's the key: what I'm seeking from this core foundation of enoughness, not a false sense of I'm so awesome, not that, but just a core I'm enough to figure out, to be with, to embrace, to embody, to emanate whatever. I'm enough to resource this passion that I have, and what I'm seeking is absolutely seeking me.
Mm. Mm.
It's totally seeking me. It can't wait to find me. All I have to do is ask, and there it is. Like, oh,
Mm.
could you have asked sooner, please?
Yeah.
Or perfect alignment. So people have to start, when we say what you're seeking is seeking you, like, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
There's a person out there that needs you bad.
And it's like people don't feel like worthy or good enough, or like they don't believe it. They've been lied to. And there's just so many reasons why they won't. But you have to build up that faith muscle, and that's how
Right?
I did it. I learned how to manifest things, and as, like, little things. You start with the little things, coffee cup, and whatever, and then you see
It's
it. It
so
works.
true.
It buys you a coffee. Like, what? And then you find the magic, and then that's kind of how I built my faith muscle. But
It's true. And I did the same thing. I started small, and I've been doing it since I was 18 years old. And sometimes I even think, there's been many times where I think, okay, you can't doubt anymore because that's just too crazy. But then you always ask
funny.
even more. You're like, but what about that? Could I do that? Could I do that? And the answer is always yes, if. Now, if something comes to you and you can't deliver on it, you've got some learning to do.
Mm.
Um, so this is why we say careful what you wish for, because something might be seeking you, um, and that's like a little bit too much for both of you. You have to. There's some finessing in there. You have to really have some confidence around what you're asking for. So
An example of like something coming, and you be careful what you wish for. Like,
okay, so say like one time I said, okay, universe, when I was starting to do public speaking, and I said that I would like to stand on the stage in front of 100 people, and give my key lecture and do something with them, and here's what you need to say in the manifestation. This cleans it up so it's not too much, or be careful what you wish for. And I could have said in a way, well, I always say in a way that's very effective for both of us, but that could kind of mean anything. Um, in a way, you have to be real careful how you word it, like in a way that is graceful, or in a way that I like to say brings no fear, in the healthiest sense of that word, and is filled with grace, peace, bliss, and joy, right? But I just said, I want to stand in people, and I want it to be really impactful, and to see if this is what I like doing, make it happen for me. 2 weeks later, I'm on a stage, in front of people. It's crazy. It's crazy. Exactly like the room and everything. And it was really amazing. But I was surprisingly terrified. Not before, just the minute I had to go on stage.
wow.
So I had to have this. There's always a lesson in your manifestation, right? So my lesson was how to handle that stage fright. And I did my own process on fear busting, which totally worked. And then I got on stage and it was fine. But I thought, wow, if I didn't have my resourcefulness, um, that could have been a disaster,
Yeah, total
Like
blackout.
I thought it was going to throw up or something. And then it was like excuse me.
I have blacked out. I did in college. It was not, oh God, it was fun.
Right. So we do these things when we're young, I want that, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a bit much. But it's beautiful too, because it helps us to refine, okay, what I really want
Mm.
is to overcome my fears and on stage, or to know how to handle them, and to be in situations that are really supportive, which it was, and to be able to so you really start to design, your life. So
Yeah.
and it's always fun to say, sometimes we want a challenge, so we say, I want to attract this big thing, and other times I say, make it easy. And then other times it's too easy. It's too easy. And I say, okay,
You want challenge.
I'd like it to be a little bit more challenging. So we're always kind of finding, where's that adventure and where is it that it's too much, and where is it not enough.
So when you're manifesting, consciously, manifesting, there's all obviously other times where you just rest and enjoy what your what is. So how do you work with that? How do you know when you're ready to put something out there?
Yeah. These days I'm very careful. We're always manifesting, so you're never not manifesting.
Yeah.
You're making micro choices all the time that lead you to that thing that you're seeking, that's seeking you. And the thing that's seeking you, or the person or the environment, is also making micro choices. Mm-hmm. You're just becoming aware. When you manifest and you say, oh, let's say there's lovers. I want a lover. I want a lover. I want a lover like this. I want a lover like that. Match, ding. Okay. So they start making all these micro choices, right, to line up. And you just catch on to it. It's, you actually were making the micro choices out here. No. But you caught on to each other about here. It's already on. It already started. You're just tapping into what's there. But now you're accelerating it. Like out here, it's kind of like, okay, we're headed towards each other, kind of, sort of, and then, oh, we want each other. Okay. So you can speed things up by intention.
Yeah.
Intuition. I feel it. I manifested a partner once who said, oh, somebody's manifesting me. I feel it.
Yeah, you can feel it. I knew when Kyle was right around the corner, I could feel it. And I had been calling him in and he had been calling me in intentionally. And we sped it up, I felt, by doing that.
So what did it feel like when you said, I could feel him?
I just said, he's right around the corner. I can feel it. I know it.
It's a knowing. It's a knowing.
Knowing. And it was a great feeling.
Yeah.
I've been single all my 20s, and all of a sudden I just knew my guy's right around the corner.
There you go. So you and Kyle were already in an orbit that you weren't aware of, and then you became aware of your orbit. Mm. And then it's kind of like how the universe works. Mm. And then it starts to, then you're in the vortex. So in a way, it's paradoxical, because what you're seeking that's seeking you is inevitable. It's just, how do you want to play that? Do you want to be an intentional, conscious version of that experience? And what is the you that's doing that? So there are times where, so when I manifest, I am manifesting from a sense of what? What is that I'm manifesting from? If it's a sense of me that's limited, I'm going to learn something, because the me is limited in its perception. If I am manifesting from that which I just am and is and always was and will be, it's more of a being than a learning. It's a different perspective on it. But you learn to embrace both. That's the dance, the being and the becoming, the me and the no me. So I've learned to not be afraid of a sense of self, nor I don't push away a sense of self, and I don't indulge my sense of self. Mm-hmm. I really try to walk that fine, if there is a line that's coming up and creating itself to be such a thing called line, then I walk it as cleanly as I can. Mm-hmm. And then I can't fool myself. So I'll find, what's the best thing? Say I want a partner. I can say, well, bring to me somebody who can is willing to hold space with me, together with me, in which we can really learn about our next level capacity in love. Mm. So. And make it be something in which the wisdom is just optimized, and there's like a great growth for both of us. So I recently manifested this, and I met somebody that I now am doing that. It's kind of like we're both. He's kind of the pillar of in his community, and very well known advice giver and coach, and so in his world and me in my world. So we've come together now, and we're going into deep nuance with each other and unpacking things together in a way that I can't always find somebody to do that with, or I haven't, or I just haven't called them in yet. So, so it's there we are, and it's a beautiful place, a safe and beautiful place to learn and grow.
Totally. That's beautiful. I love it.
So that was kind of a semi-cosmic answer to your manifest.
Yeah, semi. but, but I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of get it. That's good enough. So I figure I would love to know, what else is on your plate other than this new romance, which I didn't tell me about until now. So that's exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a romance of
Yeah.
inner beings coming together to explore, just what's possible in terms of real, actually meeting ourselves first and foremost, and then meeting each other. I'll just say last thing is that there's 4 parts to a healthy relationship as well.
Okay.
There's me loving myself and me loving you, and then there's you loving yourself and you loving me. So that all 4 of those have to be very, very balanced and understood to have a healthy relationship.
I can see how they can become unbalanced.
Yeah, and if anybody's dropping the ball unconsciously or consistently in any of those categories, you don't have a holistic relationship.
Yeah, and then codependencies and all sorts of stuff, I feel, could probably.
Oh yeah, most people come in not caring for themselves and looking for either someone else to take care of them or someone they can take care of, so they don't have to take care of themselves, and that's a problem. Yeah.
Total. Okay, cool. Thanks for adding that piece. That's good. So what else is on your plate right now? I'd love to know, what work you're doing and who you're working with and why that is.
Okay. The work I'm doing right now. Well, yeah, in this time, I really wanted to reach out to, I thought, okay, and I'm going to qualify what I mean by this word in just a second, but I really thought I'd love the opportunity to work with the most influential people on the planet and support them at this time of breakdown to breakthrough, because they're holding space either for so many others or others that are really, I don't know. I'm going to use the word important, and then I'm going to tell you what's an influential person and what's an important person to me.
Sounds good.
So,
Totally.
and then the mind is saying, well, then who's not influential and who's not important? So, yeah. I'll get to that. So I'm working with very influential people right now. That's like key on my plate in very deep, high integrity coaching and mentorship. And that has just been super phenomenal. So when I say influential, impactful people, here's my 3 measurables for an impactful person. Okay, 1, and I'm just going to stick my neck out and say the most impactful people I think on the planet, hands down, if I had to only pick like one kind of qualified section of people, it's your parents. It's parents, period. Mother and father, or your primary caregivers, whoever that was. Let's just go, kind of vaguely traditional. Mother and father. So I love working with parents who are seeking to be even more conscious, or to like really, and even people who are seeking to become parents, couples that are committed to bringing in children into this world and helping them understand this empowerment principle and having the tools to deliver a container for that, diamond to really shine
Right.
in their children.
Yeah.
Because when I work with people, the core wound is always, sorry, parent, mother and father. It's the core blessing and the core wound both. And so that needs to be dealt with big time. So I love working with parents and people who support children as well. Okay, second most influential people on the planet are, I say it this way, those who take ownership of their lives, in such a way that they cannot not become a leader. So the way they show up for themselves, like leadership is just a natural outpouring of what they do.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That's an amazing leader. So when I'm talking about those people, I'm talking about people in any category: healer, facilitator, practitioner, teacher, trainer, coach, counselor, manager, CEO, founder, owner. These titles that we give to somebody who, took ownership of their experience, got curious about how am I co-creating this positive or negative experience in my life, right? How am I impacting people positive and negative ways? What's really going on here? So real conscious, impactful leaders I love working with in all those categories. Anybody who's willing to say, here's what I've learned, right? And then the last category, the third category of impactful people, the most impactful people on the planet in your world, and I'll say, to the people listening, in your world is you. That's it. It's you, because you're walking around with you. You're listening to your own thoughts in your head. You're breathing your breaths. You're living your life. There is nobody more impactful in your life than you. So I love working with yous that get that, and then they take ownership of that. So basically I work with intentional, conscious people who are, by just the nature of who they are, impactful in their lives, either as individuals and how they show up, as parents, leaders, in relationship, for themselves, with spirit, whatever they, however they're showing up to themselves, in the way of healing, awakening, and relating.
Awesome.
So where that's led me now is working with some leaders who are really at the top of their game in their expertise. Somebody's coming in, the dogs. So that's been a real blessing.
Okay.
And also working with couples that are really wanting to. What was that?
You've been enjoying working with couples for a bit now. I remember you.
Yeah, I love it. I love working with couples and showing them right at the point where they're at breakdown. They're at crisis point, and they think we're not going to make it anymore.
Right.
We don't know if we can make it.
Yeah.
And it, again, is just your potential. So let's look at the potential here. There's no big it that can't be made. You can make it. And so I do now what I call above the line coaching with couples. And above the line means, so above the line is happy. Let's go simple. Happy, and below the line is unhappy. Put a line in the center, and you've got together and apart. So when I work with couples, they're usually either unhappy together. This might be where they're sitting. And they're headed towards unhappy apart. And so we do all this work to get them above that line so that they are either happy together or they are happy apart, and that's it. We're not settling for anything less. And it's a beautiful process to see people, break through their beliefs that cause resentment and bitterness and jealousy, or all these things, and instead you end up taking the goodwill, what you love about that person, and if it's time to set them free, set them free. If it's time to come closer together, come closer together, or any combination. We can get creative, but on your terms, above the line, that's where they sit. So I'm working with families as well. What's an above the line family look like? And now I'm just starting to talk to companies.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And leadership really fits in there nicely.
And what?
Leadership fits in there nicely with the corporate business stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And where can people find out about those services?
Yeah, so if you go to my website, amarasamata.com, I have two ways you can, one way you can work with me right now. So I have an online holiday masterclass, and I'm offering this in December, kind of the end of December into January. So, if you want to transition into the new 21 with me, you're going to learn everything. I'm going to really share with you kind of the key parts of the inner guidance system and method and principles and tools and all the things for relating and healing and awakening for couples, for individuals. So it's kind of like, hear ye, anyone who wants to work with me, and hold yourself together through the storm and really do some deep work for the next year. I'm not going to be able to work in this way forever. So really, this is like it's really a good opportunity to get a lot of me right now, and for these 6 classes. And there's an incentive for I think like the first 10 people who sign up, or 12 people. We've got a different price right now, and I just announced it like 2 days ago. So like, run to your computers and type in amarasamata.com and purchase. You'll see that. If you want to do that, I'll record them and give them to you. If people aren't available in certain time zones, you'll still get the homework, and with the lesson, and the guided journey that you'll be taken through to really be able to take yourself through those processes.
Awesome.
So you can definitely work with me like that. If you are interested in like super high-end coaching, I gotta say, like, I only hold the hand of a very few people at one time. It's really not it's not affordable to everyone. That is for sure. But if you're like at really high integrity, high level, and you happen to be hearing this and you're like, yeah, I want to know about that, just write to me. We'll have a call and I'll break it down with you, or you and your partner, what it is that you do in your world, in tech or politics or entertainment or wherever, or education, wherever you're sitting. I also work with military, all kinds of people. I love all kinds of people. Again, these just people that are conscious and willing to do the work. So if you happen to get that, sure. Let's see if there's space for you. Otherwise, work with me online right now. And then in February, I'm going to most likely, fingers crossed, start rolling out some retreats again. You can see that on my website in February in Bali. And I have some bookings for curated retreats with companies as well. So that's a possibility.
Amazing.
Otherwise, I'm in the process of building and growing. My course wheel is still in process and coming out soon, but it's not quite there yet, but we're getting really close. So that online course will be available too. So keep kind of checking in.
Awesome. Yeah, if you haven't worked with Amara, she's amazing. In person, online doesn't matter. So I highly recommend.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, my coaching is all online, and it's big. It's big, life changing. So we can do so much through the screen. Actually, it's pretty
Yeah, it's
amazing.
good. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all that and for this beautiful time together.
Yeah, it's so good to see you.
You too. You too. And everyone else out there, have a wonderful present moment. And I will see you next time. Bye, everyone. Bye, Amara.
Bye bye.